Hi, class. So today we are going to be talking about research. And unfortunately, it used to be that you went to the library, and when you were in the library, you were doing research. But now the library is online and in person. But most of us start with the library online. So if you look at the top of the BMCC webpage, you'll see to the left of donate to BMCC. Apparently, that's your first option, is to give BMCC more money. Um, the second option is library. And so when we go to the BMCC library, you see these tabs at the top. So there's One Search with Books and More's, databases, which has a complete list of databases and databases by subjects, journals by title, guides, and reserves and course materials. So we're going to start with One Search, and then I'm going to show you a database that I particularly like. So you have the option of researching anything we've read in class. So you might look over more poems, you might go back to the Ghazal, you might research Twelfth Night. So let's see what happens if we put Twelfth Night into One Search and see what comes up. So we have a video, we have a book, we have a video, a book, multiple versions, book. If you look on the left, let's limit ourselves to peer-reviewed journals, and that means we'll only really be getting articles. So John Florio's A World of Words, 1598, as link between plot and subplot in Twelfth Night. And so if you look a little bit below, it actually gives you the beginning of the article. The ultimate Italian source of William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night is considered in conjunction with the first version of John Florio's Italian-English dictionary, A World of Words, which looks interesting, but I feel like I might need to have read John Florio, and then it wants to give me help. No, thank you, but you might say yes. You might say thank you, librarians. Jitney by August Wilson and Twelfth Night by William Shakespeare. This is a review, so this is actually going to be discussing productions of these two plays. Jitney is a play by August Wilson. Was My Sister Drowned? Voyaging While Female in Twelfth Night. So for women, Shakespeare's shipwrecked twins in Twelfth Night grace the stage at a time when sea travel for women was both uncommon and fraught with danger. Well, this actually sounds pretty interesting. So I'm going to click on that, available online. JSTOR opens, which is a database that we can access through, if we clicked on that list of databases. And the internet is slow. So one of the most difficult things that I find since research became something that you do online instead of something that you do in libraries is that it drives me crazy how long I have to wait for things to show up. I also feel this way when I am grading your papers online, that when I'm waiting for the paper to download, which I did not have to do when I had a stack of papers that I collected, I feel frustrated. I feel very upset. And this is taking a very long time to load. Why? Is it because JSTOR is down? Is it because the Wi-Fi is bad? Is it because the library is overwhelmed? I don't know. And so the fact that research has always taken researchers longer than they wanted it to take, the convenience of online is often undercut by the frustration of online. So let's see if we can go back to this, and let's see what happens if we click on this instead of clicking on the available online. Let's see what happens if we try clicking on this link below. Are we still going to wait for JSTOR to just spin its wheels? Okay. So let's say we know that what we want is Was My Sister Drowned? So let's go ahead and copy that. And we're going to go back to BMCC, back to the library. Let's try databases. We'll go to the complete list of databases. We'll click on JSTOR. And JSTOR is opening very quickly. And let's paste and search for it. Okay. And here we have the journal article. And let's download it. and read it. Now, it is still not loading on my previous tabs, but I've already gotten to it in JSTOR. So, frustratingly, a lot of library research now relies on your internet skills. So, what I'd advise you to do is just read the first paragraph. If there is an abstract, that is really helpful. So, abstract. Sea travel was both uncomfortable and hazardous in the late 16th century, and even more so for women. Shakespeare's Shipwrecked Twins in Twelfth Night, 1602, graced the stage at a time when sea travel for women was both uncommon and fraught with danger. Seafaring women faced captivity, slavery, and enforced marriage as passengers, or the rare sailor aboard captured vessels, and this danger served to actively discourage sea travel for women. Viola, however, is not the first woman literary traveler to shipwreck on the shores of Illyria. Harmonia, I did not know this is very interesting. Harmonia, wife of Cadmus in Ovid's Metamorphosis, arrives first. These female travelers' mobility and metamorphosis just means change. It's to change from one thing into another. Within their respective tales, resist the anticipated resolutions of romance, and in Twelfth Night, festival. Like Harmonia, I actually don't know what that means. The resolutions of festival. I don't know. Like Harmonia, Viola's Illyrian shipwreck transforms her gender, her shape, and ultimately her identity. Ancient and early modern knowledge of Illyria, the geographic and cultural region, also underscores thematic emphasis on travel and mobility within Twelfth Night. The shipwreck, the cross-dressing, and the lover's complaints all frame Viola as a character from romance. However, by 1602, the maritime might of the English and the rapidly growing seafaring infrastructure also infused this text. Viola, the page errant, right, when Viola is a courtier and she's serving Orsino, she's a page. Viola, the page errant, is also the early modern woman voyager, a less explored aspect of Viola's crisis of identity on the shores of Illyria. That's very interesting. So I might, that's actually a great article. I would be very, very interested in reading this. Your assignment this week is going to be to find an article and to give me the citation and to give me your own summary of the argument. And so you can keep researching recitatif. You can research something about Twelfth Night. You could also research something about ghazals. So let's go back to OneSearch. Let's get out of this. There are some interesting more articles on Twelfth Night. These all actually look really interesting to me. And it's important that we limited this to articles, right? So that we're only getting articles about Twelfth Night and we're not getting copies of Twelfth Night. We still will get reviews of Twelfth Night, but that's actually not what we're interested in. We're interested in literary arguments about the text. So let's see what happens if we look at ghazal. So we mostly get ghazals, right? So if we open... Let's see if this will open faster. Is it? No. Okay, so apparently trying to get to JSTOR from OneSearch won't work. Let's see what happens if we try to go there from JSTOR. Go back to JSTOR and we clear this out. Let me put in, nope, okay. The joys of research in an online age. You don't have to leave your house, but other things are frustrating. No, I don't want to look at this. You're getting to watch this in real time. So Vishal Khaler, ghazal. Vishal Khaler, ghazal. So I probably spelled... Yes, it's color with an AR, not an ER. Let's try that. Okay. And we get ghazal, and we can download this. And as I expected, it is a poem. So right now you're doing literary analysis. You wouldn't be looking for a poem. So I'm going to also mention, so this is OneSearch. We may be better off going back to the main BMCC library and looking at databases. And in the complete list of databases, JSTOR is usually the best for literary research. And so if we try another term, if we just put in the word ghazal, we're going to get, oh, no, I thought we were just going to get ghazals, but we're actually getting a lot of articles that are about ghazals. This article, ghazal, is actually the first poem that's a puzzle. That's a ghazal, that's a poem. But if you want to look at like lyric poetry in Urdu, ghazal and nazm, let's see, this is from 1984. I actually, I know it sounds a little bit mean, but I wouldn't trust this in part because it looks like it's typed on a typewriter. Like it looks like this was mimeographed back in the day. I would go back to my search and I might look for, say, theme and variations in Umayyad Ghazal poetry. And let's see, this is from 1992. And the subject of this paper belongs to a complex of questions which may be described in a general way as the transformation of the pre-Islamic poetic heritage in medieval Arabic poetry. In other words, it forms part of a study of a topoi. That means a bunch of subjects or surfaces. I have been concerned with in recent years. My starting point has been very simple indeed. It seemed to me that classical Arabic poetry was by no means as conventional and conservative as it appears at a cursory reading, and as we are led to believe by our encyclopedias and handbooks. This does not sound provocative today. Attitudes towards medieval Arabic literature have changed during the last decades, I am glad to say, but there is still some way to go until we are able to establish in detail how poets of successive historical periods went about assimilating poetic tradition and what methods and techniques they applied in order to adapt it to the intellectual and emotional requirements of their time. There is another reason why, in my experience, the diachronistic approach is particularly useful and promising. So you're probably not familiar with the word diachronic. The word diachronic means taking a historical approach, whereas the word synchronic would mean trying to figure out how things work in the moment. That might be a reason not to use this article. If it reaches a point where you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't understand this, that might be something not to look at. You could also look for, let's see what we find if we find recitative. Morrison. So you've already looked at this one, the Maggie in Toni Morrison's Recitative, The Africanist Presence in Disability Studies. Sisters Separated for Much Too Long, Women's Friendship and Power in Recitative. Revised Memories and Colliding Identities, Absence and Presence in Morrison's Recitative, and Viramonte's Tear on My Pillows. Now, you probably wouldn't want to read this one because you haven't read Viramonte's Tears on My Pillow. If there's another work of literature in the title, that's probably a hint that it's not something that you want to focus on because you'll need to read the other literary text in order to understand it, which is normal for literary theorists. As a person who studied literature, I would often read an article about a text and then have to read another poem or novel or play in order to understand the argument that was being made in the text. So this is your task. You need to find one article about something that we've read, about ghazals in general, about Twelfth Night, or about Toni Morrison's Recitative, and then you need to submit for your quiz a citation in MLA style for that article and a brief summary of the argument being made about the text. Now, if you're in JSTOR, watch this, cite. If you just click that button that says cite, you can copy the MLA citation. So if you're in JSTOR, the database does the citation for you. Okay, so I know that this is kind of long, but that's how research is. And I will look forward to your responses soon.